Hey guys, welcome to /Rex Games. Today I'm going to be introducing you to a DSLIST, which is basically just a glorified one-dimensional array. However, there are so many pre-made functions that we can use to sort and save and add items, it's just crazy. So if you want a really good list with a lot of control, use a DSLIST instead of an array. So now I could go to the GameMaker manual, go through all the functions with you, but that is incredibly boring. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Shopping List Simulator 2014. This is basically just a little game. I say game, it's more of a little demonstration app really. And I'm going to have a whole lot of buttons, and each button is going to demonstrate a different feature, or function really, of a DSLIST. So right here, new game. When I click new game, this is demonstrating DSLIST create. Bam, we have a DSLIST, we can't see anything, it's just in the background. Here we have 8 buttons. Add, we've got sort, save, query, shuffle, delete, clear, and destroy. Add, that'll add an item to the DSLIST. Sort, this will sort the DSLIST either ascending or descending depending on what we want. Save, this will save the DSLIST as a non-human readable string of characters and numbers and all kinds of things that we aren't supposed to read, but the DSLIST can read back into another DSLIST, which is really great. Query the size of the DSLIST. We've got shuffle, randomize the order of the elements. Delete, this will delete the last element in the DSLIST. Well, that's what I've set it to, but ultimately you can delete any element as long as you have the index. Clear, this will clear the entire list, and destroy will destroy the DSLIST, freeing the memory occupied by it. And then I've also got this little button that'll switch off the music. Anyway, so add. Let's add something. Let's add some milk. Alright? Let's add bread. We are making a real list. This is just like a simulator. Tomatoes. Eggs. Bacon, maybe. This is just like really making a real list. It's crazy. Cheese. Alright, so we've got several items. If we click sort, there we go. Sorts it in a various way. In this case, we have 2 different ways, ascending, descending. Whichever time I click it, it changes. So that one's descending, this one's ascending, that one's descending. See? And it's sorting it in alphabetical order. Notice that. B, C, E, M, T. If it was a list of integers, it'll sort it by numerical value. Then shuffle. That'll just randomize it. See? List shuffled. Cool, huh? Delete. This will delete the last element of the list. So in this case, it'll be bread. Shuffle. It'll be cheese this time. See that? It's always the last element. Clear is going to clear the entire list. I'll show you that one afterwards. Save. This will save the list in the app data local directory. That's where it saves all the ini files. When I click this, it's opening up a dialog box. It's not an asynchronous dialog box because I don't want people to click save 1,000 times. So I want the game to kind of pause in the background. But this is the same dialog box as we'd get when we click add. So here we say easy list. Okay, cool. List saved, just like that. Query, queries the size, 3 items. Notice in the index of this DSLIST, eggs is item 0, index 0, tomato 1, and then milk is 2. But when it queries the size, it starts at 1, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, 3 elements. Then clear, that'll totally delete everything in the list, and destroy will destroy the list and return the memory space occupied by it. There we go, easy. Now if I click load, what it's going to do is it's going to pop up with a non-asynchronous message event, whatever. And here I'm going to type in, what was it, easy list? I think it was easy list. I'm going to go for basic list. That was a cool one I made earlier. So let's type in that basic list. Bam. Milk, bread, eggs, cheese, rice, tomato, apples. See, just like that. And bam, the music is gone. So those are quite a few of the DSLIST functions, and I'm going to go through each and every one of them. I'll also be placing this studio project right in the description, so get to that and download and fiddle with it all you like. Play the game, somehow win. It doesn't really have any winning conditions other than making an epic shopping list. But, it's a simulation, Sometimes just making the list is all the fun one needs, right? Right. Okay, so let's jump right into the various code segments. I'll start with add, go down to sort maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I've got a few items like the object message that pops up to tell you what's happened. I'll tell you what that does. I've also got this effect that kind of makes the buttons change scale. We'll go over that too, just as like a bonus, I guess. So here we go. Alright, so here we are within the studio project. I'm going to go through sprites, sounds, backgrounds, scripts, fonts, objects, and rooms right now. Start with sprites. Here we got just all the buttons really, and the music toggle. Okay, and sounds. That's the background music sound. Magic 4 by Romwell. I'll put a link to his page in the description. You can find some other stuff on him. Backgrounds, two backgrounds, one on the notepad. That's the game world, and the menu over there. Then scripts. This is the script that handles the button hover. It makes it change scale and stuff. Basically, if the mouse is over the button, then it says, well, the button, you are now allowed to animate. Otherwise, don't animate and make sure your size is default. Okay. Then fonts. We've got a font here that looks like handwriting. Okay. And objects. We've got an object controller. That's just so if the user presses escape, it'll take him back to the main menu. Add to list, add an item, new game, start a new game, clear list, destroy, get list. I mean, they're very descriptive names right over here. Draw list. This will draw the list in the center of the screen. It'll look like it's being drawn on the notepad. We've got the load, we've got the exit, we've got the title, the main menu, object message. That's the thing that displays what's just happened. So when you add an item to the list, it pops up saying item added. You must have seen that earlier. And the music toggle switches the music on or off. Here we've got the rooms. I've got a boot room over here. And the boot room basically sets a global.list exists to false because there is no list created yet. And then the music on is going to be true. Then it's going to take us to the main menu. If we go to the main menu, over here, we have the background, we have the new game button, load button, and the exit button. And then this, we've got the music toggle, we've got the title. And it has no creation code. And then the game world over here, it's got the background notepad, it's got the music toggle, it's got all 8 buttons. There we go, that's the draw list object there, and here at the top left is the object controller to handle the escape key. So I'm going to explain the code in the order that one would attempt to play the game. So we'd start off with the new game, then we try adding items, clearing them, getting the size, all that kind of stuff. Lastly, we'll do the load. Where is it? There we go. Object button load. We'll do that last. Now, every button has a create, a step, and a draw that is exactly the same. I know you're probably thinking, hey, you could have used parenting to do this, but I did. Well, I did actually do that, and it worked for the first execution. However, when I tried to run the thing again, and then it had some problem, and I don't know, it just wasn't working for some strange reason. Not on my part, because it did run the first time. You have my word on that. So every button will have some create code that has, animate, scale, what the size should be. Then the step has the hover script, which tells it if it can hover, and the code that changes the size and makes it animate. And then the draw, obviously, to draw it in whatever size it is, the scale, pretty much. Alright, so let's start at object button new game. And if we go to the left, press to the new game, we want to create the DS list. We want to give it a name that's global so that every button can add to it without having to change the variables of another object. So we first have to create the list, give it a name, then go to the next room, which is the game room. So here we're going to say global dot shopping list. That's not how you spell shopping list. That is terrible. Global.shoppingList equals DSLIST. Alright. Create is the one we're looking for. There we go. It takes no arguments. So basically we are saying create a DSList, and this is going to be the name. Then what we're going to do is there was that variable called global.listExists. Alright, set that to true. It was set to false in the boot. I don't think there's a function to determine if a list exists, so this is just going to be to stand in for that. Okay, then we go to the next room, game world, right over there. Say, okay, that's as simple as it is to create a DS list. You just give it a name and say equals DS list create. Okay, so next, when we start, we want to add some items to this list. So we go left pressed over here on button add to list. Again, variable A, creating a temporary variable. We got a equals instance create in the middle of the room and object message. So we're giving a the ID of object message. Then we're setting a variable print within a to item added. And every time we do something, every action we do is going to pop up with this object message, and this message is going to say something. Increase in size and then gradually disappear. So to add something to the list, we are going to use a dialog window, and it's going to have a title saying item to add, and the default string is just going to be blank. But we don't want the user to enter a blank string, so we're going to use a do until loop, which is going to keep popping up that message until the user puts in something that is not blank. Okay, so here we say do some of that. We say until. We're going to do some arguments there and end it off. So do what? Item equals get string. I'm not using an asynchronous get string event because if you do that, the user could click this add to list button like 5 times. Maybe they have a glitchy mouse or something. Then it's going to open 5 windows, and the user's going to have to sit there typing in 5 things to get rid of all those windows. So this normal get string event will pause everything in the background just for this demonstration purpose. So we can say, well, what do we want to add? Item. Start with this capital. Item to add. Okay, go on. Do one of those and a blank. So if the user presses OK, alright, the user presses OK without adding anything, then that's where this thing comes in. And it says, do this. So keep doing whatever's in between these things until item is not equal to blank. Alright? So that'll keep asking the user to enter an item until it's something that we can use. And then what we do is say DSLIST add. That's the add function. Where do we want to add something to? The global.shopping list. Alright. And what do we want to add? Item. Easy as that. We call the DSLIST add function. We say we want to add to this list, and we say we want to add that to that list. Easy. And then here it'll say item added. So that is the add to list. Second, let's do clear list. So basically this will remove all items from the list without actually deleting the list. And it's as simple as saying DSLIST clear, like that, and global.shopping list. Done. That'll clear the entire list. So it'll just be a list of no elements. Again, we're calling this, creating a variable, temporary variable A, and we get that message up there creating one of those that says list cleared. Done. Next, let's go to destroy list, right over here. So when we destroy the list, it's going to remove the DSList entirely, so there'll no longer be a DSList called global.list shopping list, and it's going to free up that memory space because data structures take up memory space, and if you don't delete them, you will run out of memory, and that's not great. So here you're going to say simply DSList destroy. Now you don't have to really test if the list exists in this case, because ultimately if we're in the game room, clicking load or new game will inevitably create a list. So just to speed things up, I'm not going to really test it if it exists because I mean it's a given. So what do we want to destroy here? You see it takes one argument called ID. Global.shopping list. I'm going to actually copy this because we use that a lot. Alright, so DSList destroy global.shopping list. Easy, done. And then it's going to return us to the main menu. Next, we should check out get list size. There it is. Get list size, again, has all those other things. Left pressed over here. So if we want to get the size, we are going to basically create that object message and just give it, that print variable. We're going to chuck the size of the list into that so it just displays it on the screen. So var a equals instance create room width divided by 2, room height divided by 2, object message. Done. And a dot what was it called? I think it was called print. I think let's go to one of these. No, not that one. Clear list. Yeah, it was a dot print. Copy that. Go back to list size over here. A dot print. Here we're going to say we're going to print the number of elements in this list by using DSList size. Okay, takes the argument of ID. Oh no, this was supposed to be global.shopping list, which we overwrote with that other piece. DSList size, global shopping list, but let's just make this a string just in case. Alright, so that'll print the size of the list using DSList size and the list we want to print. Pretty easy stuff. Now, next, shuffle. This will randomize the list. All the elements will go into random order. So first we say here, we want to make sure that the list is not empty, because there's no point shuffling an empty list. It makes no sense and should never be attempted, because it is not productive in any way. So if DSList size, notice we use a lot of these functions to do other functions, in other functions. So if DSList size is not equal to naught, that's why I used string in that last one to convert, because here it clearly DSList size returns an integer. And I don't know if in that print that object thing if I convert it there, but it doesn't matter. So here we go. If DSList size is not equal to naught, let me see if that's good. Okay. Then here we're going to say DSList shuffle. Which list you want to shuffle? Global.shopping-list. Alright, just like that. Then let's go back here, grab this again, tell the user that we have shuffled the list and we are not lying to them, even though clearly they could see that it is being shuffled in real time. Here we say list shuffled, and we don't need that. Okay, list shuffled. So that's if it's not empty. Otherwise, over here, we're just going to do one of these, and we're going to say list empty. Okay, that's good. So that'll use the DSList shuffle. It's pretty easy to use that one. Okay, jumping over to the next one, sort, the opposite of shuffle. Go over here. Here we're going to say, okay, firstly, I want to go to the create. Oh, no, don't do that, because over here I need a variable called ascending. I've got a variable called ascending equals true that is unique just to this button, and when you click sort the very first time, it's going to sort it in ascending order, then it's going to set ascending to false, and the next time you click it, it's going to be descending. So every time you click the button, it's going to do the opposite of what it did before. So left pressed. Here we're going to say if, whoops. Okay, so here, if DSList empty. Now, man, keep overriding global dot shopping list. DSList empty, shopping list. Do one of these, and we say not empty, put a not there. So if it's not empty, we're going to say if sending equals true. So if we doing that, DSList sort. See here, DSList sort ID and ascending, which you say true or false. Sort. Here we say global.shopping list. And here we say true. Then over here we set sending equals false. And over here we're going to say else. Okay. We're going to do that. Copy it over here. So this is just the opposite. Sending equals true, and this equals false. Then also want to go back to shuffle list over here. Grab this. Oh, grab this one rather. Okay. Back in sort list. Over here. Bam. Do that. This is going to say list sorted ascending. And over here, this is going to say list sorted descending. I think that's correct. Ascending equals true, sorted ascending, else sort it descending, and ascending equals false, ascending equals true. That is all very good. Otherwise, we are going to say, this is the big old list empty right over here. Okay, so that is all good. Okay, so now we're going to move on to delete item over here. Now delete item is going to delete the last element. If you grab the element that you want to delete, find the index of it, you can do that and then just shift everything up. It might even do that for you. So let's go over here. We're going to say if DSList size is also don't forget that for the shopping list. I'm going to say here if it's greater than 0, because we don't want to delete from a list that doesn't have any elements. That could cause problems. We're going to say DSList delete. I'm going to delete this one. And which item do we want to delete? Well, DSList size. We're going to grab the size of the list, and we're going to -1. So if there are 4 elements, we want to delete item number 3, because, you know, index starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, which is the 4th element, just like that. That'll delete that element. Okay, just like that. And then go OK. Once again, get that code that displays the message. Pop that in. And here we're going to say list item deleted. Bam. Otherwise, we're going to say list is empty, the same as the sort. I think it had exactly the same code over here. Okay, go back. Else list is list empty. Okay, that's all good. That's all good. Of the delete item. Now moving into save list and the draw list. So let's go to save list over here. What we're going to do is we're going to get the save name the user wants to save. Then we're going to store the DS list in a string of characters. Then we're going to save that to an ini file. So here we go. First we need 2 variables. var strlist, that is the DS list in the form of a string. Then also save name. Okay, so do, again we're using a do until, and we're going to get the save name from the user. Save name equals get string. That should be like get sting. No, get string. Save as. Again, blank. And it's going to keep doing that until save name is not equal. That's right, not equal to blank. Okay. Then also, as an added kind of thing, if the user types in basic list or the user types in basiclist.ini, it's got to save it to an ini file. So we need to make sure that the program can determine if it needs to add that .ini at the end or not. So if we're using string count, we're going to count how many instances of string count substring.ini there are in save name. Okay, here we're saying that if that is equal to 0, so if there are no instances of .ini, then over here we're going to say save name equals string lower. Okay, so we want to make sure it's all lowercase, as we're easier to manipulate and load later on. Save name, that one, so we're going to convert it to lower, plus that .ini. Okay, so that's all good. Close that off. Yeah, so if there are no instances of .ini anywhere in this string, preferably at the back, then it'll add it to the end. Okay, then we're going to say, well, ini. So it'll only do that if there's no occurrences. If there is already is an occurrence, then we can just go here and say ini open save name over there. Then we're going to say strlist, which is that variable that we created over here. Strlist equals ds list, looking for write. There we go. Which list do we want to write? Go with the shopping list. Okay, I'm going to add that to strip list. And then we're going to say here ini write string. If you don't know how to use the ini file functions, I have a few tutorials out on them. Just go find them. Maybe I'll even put it in the description. So check that out first. So any write string, and we're going to say list save and list. Okay, and str list. So it's going to write that string representation of the DSList into the ini file. Then we're going to close the ini, like such. And then again, we're going to go into over here, grab this code there. So just save us some time. Bam. And we're going to say list saved. Okay, so that's as easy as it is to save the list. So we've got two variables. One is the save name. We're giving the user a lot of control. They can choose their own file name. Then the list, string list, which is the string representation of the DS list. Here we are getting the save name, determining if the save name needs to have .ini added to the end. If it does, then we're doing that. We're also changing it to a lowercase. Then we are opening this save name, which is stored in, where am I? Here, which is your app.local, and then the studio project will be sorted there, saved there, sorry. Notice everything's in lowercase. Yeah, so then we're taking the DS list and we're writing the list to this string called strlist. Then we are writing that string strlist to that ini. Then we're closing the ini. Don't forget to do that. Close that. Then we are just telling the user that the list has been saved right over there. Now, whenever the user adds stuff to the list or deletes something or destroys the list, it does pop up with that message saying that's what has happened. But also, we want the list to be drawn in real time. So every time something's added, boom, it needs to pop up right there. So we have object draw list over here. Now right now I've got nothing in here because I really want to go through all of this with you. So add event, create. Over here I'm just setting a variable called yy to the y coordinate. That's just where the first element will be drawn. Then over here we're going draw, execute some code. In here we're going to do a for loop. So we can say for I equals naught, I is less than ds list. I'm going to get the list size of global dot shopping list. Alright. Because we're starting at 0, remember? I mean, you could start at 1, and then you'd have to put a -1 there. Because remember, indexes start at 0, but size starts at 1 when it determines how many elements. So if it's less than the last element, it'll mean it'll draw the last element if we're starting at 0, I++. Increment by I by 1 every time. And over here we're going to say draw text. Okay, drawing the text. X. Yeah, just X is fine. Wherever we place this object is fine. Then YY. What we're going to do is we're going to increase Y by about 40 pixels. So that each time it loops this, it will draw the next element 40 pixels lower than the previous one. And then what do we want to draw? The string representation of DS list. And here we're going to say find value. And it takes the ID. Just grab this. Global.shopping list. Then the position we want is I. Just like that. How many of these do we need? Quite a few. Okay, so it's going to draw the value found at the position I. So the first one it'll draw was the 0, element 0. Then the next time it goes, it'll do element 1, 2, 3. It'll keep doing that until it's done the last element. Then it will break out of this loop. And then here we're going to say yy plus equals 40. Okay, that's good. So the for loop is done. Now, over here I'm going to say yy equals y, because once it's finished doing this draw loop, it's going to do the draw loop all over again, and then we want it to draw back at the top, otherwise it'll slowly creep towards the bottom of the screen. Now, pretty much the last button to go through is the load button. So that's going to ask the user for a string, and then it's going to go into the app.local, find that ini file, open it, read it, and display its contents. So here we start up. Again, we need to temporary variables, one called str, the other called load name. And here we go. I can copy a lot of the code from the save. Here we go. All of this. Maybe even that one. Do that. Copy that. Go into left pressed. Paste it over there. So just change that to there. Do load name equals get string. Then we're going to say here load as, or open as is a better one. Until load name is not blank. If string count that in load name is 0, then load name equals string lower load name plus any. Okay, cool. Alright, then now what we're going to do is when we click new game, we created the DSLIST. Now if the user is clicking the load game, we need to do the same. We need to say global dot shopping list equals DSLIST create. Do that one. Okay, so we're creating the shopping list over there. Then now we're going to open that ini with the load name. We're going to take str, which was our temporary variable str, which stands for string. So we're going to read in the string, or the whole lot of elements that were saved. Str equals any read string. Okay, over that, and we want to make sure that we've got the same section and key. No, not delete item as save. And here, that we need that. Also, if the list is empty, which it shouldn't be, but we need to add that in the end, we're going to add blank. So any read string, list save, and list, and blank at the end. And here we're going to say, well, if str is not equal to blank, so as long as what we read is not blank, then we're going to say ds list read. I think it's read, yes. What do we want to read into? Well, global shopping list over there, and str. So we want to put that string, that array of random characters, we're going to shove it into the global shopping list and use, we're going to let this DSLIST read function take that jumbled mess of characters. Yeah, I can show you actually what the jumbled mess of characters look like if we go into basic list. Look at that, see? 2D01000, it's not anything readable. So if we look at this, we can't exactly turn it into a list, but DSLIST knows what these characters represent, and it uses this function DSLIST read to, decrypt it. So we're doing that. So there we string. Then we say any close. Don't need that anymore. Also global.list exists equals true. Set that to true. Okay. Then here we're just gonna say room go to room game world, I think it was. Just like that. So yeah, after we load something, we get the name from the user, add any if we need it, create the shopping list, load the name, taking the load name, opening the any, reading the contents of that any into a temporary variable called str, which stands for string. If str is not equal to blank, then use DSLIST read to read in those string of random characters from into global shopping list, decrypting it into what it needs to represent, closing that any, setting global list exists to true because one does, and then going to the game world. Okay, bam, easy as that. And let's see, extra things to go over. Message just has scale 1, alpha 1, has this color which is like a lime. Step, here we go, if scale is less than 5, it's going to increase the scale slowly and decrease the alpha. Yeah, otherwise it's going to destroy it. So there we go, and then this is just going to print it. It's going to take whatever the value of print is and draw it to the screen with whatever scale and color we want it there. And music toggle, here we go, starts off with animate equals false, so this is just that same bobbing code over there. If we press it, it's going to set global music on to true if it was false, and false if it was true. So that wraps up all of that. And then object controller, press escape. That's just going to destroy the list. DSLIST destroy global shopping list. So this destroy button here, it destroys the list, and the pushing escape does the same thing. Just frees all that code and goes back to room menu. So yeah, that was Shopping List Simulator 2014 with all the different functions. I mean, there are some other functions from DSList that I didn't go over, but you can give the help file a quick squiz, and yeah, that'll fill in any gaps. So, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and found it extremely helpful. I know it's been pretty long, but we did go over, I don't know, about 10 functions. So it's like 3 minutes a piece. And we did go over this random simulation game. Please feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. You can also like my Facebook page. Link is in the description. And I will see you guys next time for another great tutorial. Thanks for watching.